Hey everybody, welcome to my live today. This is our first time doing it on Mondays. We've moved from Fridays in hopes of me doing this more regularly. I got a little stuck on Fridays. So, welcome. If you are joining us, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button and let me know where you are joining me from. It's always fun to see where everybody's coming from. So, I am always in Normal, Illinois, the nearest normal that I will ever get, as I tell people. But if this is your first time joining me, welcome, 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 welcome. My name is Amy Eicher, and I am a best-selling author and chronic pain coach, and I am here to tell you the shit nobody really tells you about chronic pain. And today's topic, we're talking about the difference between pain and suffering. And hey, Rachel, so good to see you. But today we're going to be talking about pain versus suffering. And one of the things that actually makes chronic pain worse is the suffering that can come with it. So if you will indulge me, let me take a minute to explain something that nobody likes hearing, myself included. For those of you that are new to me, I experienced chronic low back and SI pain for 20 years, and I am now 12-ish years pain-free. I've actually lost count, which is a good thing. So undoing your chronic pain is something that is very possible. And it is even more possible to live a bigger life, even if some pain remains. So that's what I do. That's what I try to help people with. And that's why I am here today. And I am here to tell you that as much as we dislike it, pain is a normal bodily response. It's like hunger. It's like thirst. It is something that we need because it is a warning system, and it is for our survival and protection. It would be bad if you rested your hand on your stove that was very hot and you didn't feel pain, because you would burn yourself, and then that would be, that would make it very difficult for you to do tasks. So pain is a warning system. Whether it's emotional pain or physical pain, it is a warning system for the survival and the protection of us. Now, if you have found me and if you're watching me, there is a really good chance that your pain has become chronic. It has lingered past the normal healing time of tissues. It is not responding to treatments that people have told you it should be responding to, and you're just kind of left in a lurch like I was. You're like kind of piecemealing it out, doing it yourself. And I would like to offer you an explanation for why that is and what you can do about it. So chronic pain is maladaptive. It's not supposed to go on forever and ever. It's supposed to be more of an acute experience where, we get an injury, we upset some tissue or some nerves, they heal, it gets better, we go on with life, right? But for, 20% of the first world, it sticks around. So let's start with kind of the paradigm of how suffering becomes the crappy part of pain, as Rachel so eloquently pointed out. Our society is built for able-bodied people. Our medical system is built for able-bodied people. Our work and our the whole of the systems are built for able-bodied people. So when stuff doesn't heal like it's supposed to, or it's chronic, like chronic illnesses, autoimmune diseases, wow, or we societally, having to deal with some pretty serious consequences to long COVID, like people that are experiencing long COVID, the medical systems don't know what to do with them. Post-viral illness has been around for a very long time, but it was never in this large of numbers. So chronic pain is an increasing problem, and yet very few seem to want to get a handle on how we handle that. So you go in with your pain of, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, however long it's been, and you're being shoved into a system that only deals with acute pain. So you're being told to, take the medicine, go to physical therapy, exercise, lose weight, deal with your anxiety. Might I suggest that these things are a little gaslighty? Because our medical system is wired for the able-bodied. They want to find a deficit. They want an error that they can find that can then be fixed. And, we don't need the system anymore. Essentially, the medical system needs a boogeyman to blame. And for women, that is increasingly becoming, you're anxious, you're depressed, you need to lose weight. God forbid you're in your 40s and up, and then we're going to blame it on perimenopause and menopause, right? But the boogeyman that is causing your pain is often blamed on those things: weight, mental health, your lifestyle, you're not moving enough, you're eating the wrong things, you're drinking too much, you're smoking, you're this, you're that, right? It's all blamey things that you're not doing enough of, or you're doing too much of, and so the problem ends up sounding like it's you. So the reality is that I think some medical professionals are starting to really dig into the science of pain, and they're starting to learn some things, but they're really not applying it well. And so really what ends up happening in many of our medical situations is patient blaming. We're being blamed for our chronic pain because we're anxious, or we're depressed, or we're suicidal because the pain is so flippin' bad and nobody's been able to help us that we're at the end of our rope. And so we're suffering. Quite frankly, if we weren't suffering, we wouldn't have gone to the medical person in the first place, right? Like, we've all been dealing with this a long time. It's the suffering that causes us to seek help. And unfortunately, medical systems across the world tend to end up adding to that, not alleviating it. So we end up feeling shamed. We end up blaming ourselves. I have heard many of you say you have felt like you were gaslit by your medical professionals. And I'm going to say there's probably a very high likelihood that you're right, that did happen to you, right? It's not all doctors, it's not all medical professionals, but it is a lot of them. And so if you felt like you weren't heard, and like you were told that you weren't hurting, or that your symptoms weren't what you were telling your medical professional, yeah, you were probably gaslit. If it was blamed on your anxiety with no further explanation, that's not right. I'm not really certain that fits the actual psychological definition of gaslighting, but it's crappy medicine. Being told you need to lose weight instead of looking at anything else is crappy medicine. Does our lifestyle and our anxiety and our weight and the way that we deal with things, does that feed our pain? Yes. Yes, it does. Is that the only thing that feeds our pain? No. Does solving that solve our pain? No. There's my rant about how we get to the suffering. Okay, so there it is. So you can lose all the weight in the world, you can get rid of your anxiety, you can get rid of your depression, and that is not necessarily going to get rid of your pain. And quite frankly, I'm not really a betting woman, but I'm gonna bet if you did all of those things, it's still not gonna get rid of all of your pain, because there's so much more to it than that, right? And you can refer to other videos to listen to me talk about all of the other contributing factors to chronic pain. That's not what we're doing today. Today the rest of this video, we're gonna talk about the suffering, right? So suffering is the emotional portion of our experience. So we have pain, which is a sensation, right? Like if we boil it down, pain is a sensation. It's a response from a bunch of information that goes up to the brain. The brain decides, the meat sack, that's us, needs to be warned, and we get the experience of pain, which is neither good nor bad. It simply is. Where the suffering comes is how it's poorly treated. We can't get a handle on it. We lose who we are. We lose the things we're able to do. We lose our sense of purpose and meaning, right? So the more we lose, the more suffering occurs. And that's not necessarily because of the intensity of the pain. It's because of what we have lost. So what I suggest to you is ways to stop suffering when you're experiencing chronic illness or chronic pain is 1, get the facts. Get the facts about your condition. And when I say get the facts, I don't mean what did your doctor say, because I just met with a darling 22-year-old whose doctor, she's had chronic upper back pain for like 5 years now. Actually, no, it's been longer than that. She's older than that. It started when she was in high school and she's out of college now, right? So it's been like 6 years. And the doctor simply said to her, well, you have the back of an 80-year-old. Of course it hurts. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have listened to me at all, you know how much this angers me. Okay, why are we telling people that? She's 22, she's strong. Oh my gosh, is she strong. She's independent, she's all kinds of things, and she's been told all of these things. They're gonna send her on a wild goose chase. She's been in physical therapy for almost like 4 years straight now, and it's not changing her pain. So she's suffering because she says nobody else can help her. And I said, you know what? Let's talk. Let's get some facts straight. Let's learn what chronic pain is and what it isn't. Let's learn how to accept where we're at, right? Like, let's accept the facts of our lives, right? So our scans said this, our doctors said this, these interventions that we've tried maybe kind of help, and these ones didn't, right? So we deal with the facts of our own case. And then, for the love of God, if it's not me, get accurate information about chronic pain and chronic illness from someone that knows what they're talking about and doesn't just tell you that your body is older than it should be. Whatever the hell that means. Like, because one of like the top 10 facts that everybody needs to know about pain is just because you get older doesn't mean you have pain. My father is 88. The man had like knee pain for the first time in his life and like had to go to physical therapy, and oh, lo and behold, it fixed it. 88, he does not have pain on a daily basis. He doesn't have it. There's plenty of friends of mine, people that I know in nursing homes that I have treated that do not have daily pain. Just because we're getting older does not mean pain comes with age. That's ridiculous, and it's a myth, and it's untrue, and it's perpetuated by the medical world. So don't believe it, get accurate information. This is what I'm saying. Accept where you're at in the process. The more that we fight the process, the more that we fight our reality, because we're still trying to live in an able-bodied world. Hi, Beth. Because we're still trying to live in an able-bodied world, and we're trying to do things the way that everybody says should be done because they're able-bodied. We're making it harder. We don't have to play by those rules. We don't have to. We don't have to stop life until we're pain-free, because for some of us, we're never going to live again. Many of you know that I've been suffering with long COVID for almost 2 years now. At Christmas, it'll be 2 years. If I were to wait for these symptoms to be gone before I started enjoying my life because I'm not like I once was, life would be passing me by. I already did that for 20 years with chronic pain. I am not doing it again. I refuse to stay in the suffering of having long COVID for too long this time. And you know what, guys? I'm telling you this stuff because it actually works. Do I love having like my brain tied up and brain foggy and forgetting words and things that I want to say when I talk to you? Well, no. Do I like having to write things down before I get on and do lives so that I don't forget what I'm talking about with you all? Because the more excited I get, the more the brain fog comes. And I love doing these with you. Do I love having like very limited energy during a day? No, I do not. No, I do not. But I refuse to let that define my life anymore. I have just come to terms with the fact that my life is different. I have to schedule it differently. I have to do things differently. And in accepting that, this is the acceptance part, in accepting that, I can fill my days and my life with things that I need to do, that I want to do, and that bring me joy. We took a trip. Now, out of my family of 4, 3 of us have long COVID / post-viral illness things that make our fatigue tremendous. And we did an 11-day trip to Disney World in September, and we all survived. We all survived. Now we got COVID on the way home, and that wasn't great. So like September, the last 6 weeks have been rougher than we wanted. But we were able to do the parks. We did them differently than we've ever done before. We took the vacation entirely differently than we've ever done before. But we did it because we accepted our limitations and we adjusted for them in this ridiculous able-bodied world. And we figured out a way to do it. And you can do the same thing. I don't care whether it's fatigue or chronic migraines or irritable bowel syndrome or chronic pain. Your life can be altered to fit your pain so that you don't have to suffer, because suffering sucks. And then it makes the pain worse, and it makes all the thoughts in our head worse, and it just makes everything worse. You guys know it. Like, tell me if you think I'm crazy. Do you think I'm crazy? Does suffering help your pain, or is it making it worse? The other thing is there's 2 more ways that we deal with suffering. One is we have to focus on what we can do, not what we used to do, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. I forget where I heard that, but I know that I know that I have been told that. And it's true. If I compare what I can do today to what I could do 2.5 years ago, well, that's very different, and I would be very sad all the time. I would be very sad all the time. But I recognize that life changes, and it changes on a dime. So when I focus on what I can do, my world is much more pleasant. And I want that for you all. And sometimes it takes a little outside help to be able to see what you can do, because chronic pain makes it seem like we can't do anything, again, because of this able-bodied world that we live in, right? Beth says suffering makes things 100 times worse. And I agree with her because, and again, part of the suffering is really not our fault. I mean, it is a perspective shift to a point, but I keep saying we live in an able-bodied world, a world created for able-bodied people. And I do mean that, because we can't fix those things. We can advocate, we can share, we can give information, we can do all the things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to change, which is why acceptance becomes so important. Okay, so we've got facts. Getting proper facts can alleviate suffering. Accepting where you're at and what you can do, and living your life in that frame, as opposed to the frame of who you used to be and what you used to be able to do. It's not that we can't ever get back there. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we're stuck here. But if we keep trying to live in this world, but our reality is here, we are going to suffer because they're not congruent. And there's a lot of things in that old world that we cannot do today. That doesn't mean we won't be able to do them in another year, or in 6 months, or in 3 months. You can make progress towards what you want. But the idea that we're going to do it doing the way that we've been doing things for the last, however long you've been in pain, it's not going to work that way. If it was going to work, it would have worked by now. So I give you permission to stop and try something different. How about that? Okay. We're going to focus on what we can do, not what we can't. right? We're going to focus moving forward, not looking back at everything that we've lost. We have to acknowledge it. We have to grieve it. We have to come to terms with it. That's super important. But if we keep looking backwards saying, I used to, I should, I have to be this person in this body that you don't have anymore, we're going to continue to suffer. That is the recipe for suffering. Okay. The last thing is, when we're looking at our pain, we have to stop treating it like it is a tissue-only issue. It's not. Chronic pain is a whole person issue. And if you need a boogeyman, because that's the way that your brain works, or that's the way, you feel like you need to fix something, then the thing that needs fixing is the totality of your nervous system. That's not tissue. That's not counseling. That's your tissue and counseling and your diet and your anxiety and your stress and your relationship to others and your relationship to yourself and the way that you move and your type A personality and your people-pleasing personality and your perfectionism, right? Are anybody with me on these personality traits, right? Usually if you found me, you've got at least 2 of those 3. But the reality is, all of those things and so much more are what contribute to the behaviors that keep our chronic pain in check, even when we've got some of those other things handled, right? So you can have your tissue issues handled, but if you've still got, other things in that list that I just gave, you're not getting, your chronic pain isn't going to get better, because you're still irritating the nervous system, which is the thing that is broken. It's not really broken, it's hypersensitive and it's malfunctioning, but whatever. And no, there's not a pill that you can take that's going to fix that. No, it's not an easy fix. It takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes application of you to figuring out what the things are that is keeping your body sending a danger signal when the tissue is healed. I am more than happy to help you with that. It is my favorite thing in this entire world, is to help people figure out what is in their cup so that they can take it out and not only stop the suffering, but stop the pain. I would love to help you live a larger life and beat your pain back into submission so that you can do more. And if you are curious about that, leave the comment, "No more pain," and I will be happy to contact you. I'll send you a message. So if we're not friends, it'll go into your other folder, so you'll have to look for me. But I will message you. And in the description of this video, there's a link to my free Facebook group. You are more than happy to join. And there are a million free resources in there, and conversation daily from other people that are experiencing pain just like you. And then one of the other options you have is there's a link to a blog post about pain and suffering, which has more information on the things we talked about today. And you may peruse the over 100 blog posts. There are links to 3 books that I've written, as well as courses that you can take. And I am going to read Grant's message and then I'm going to answer it in just a sec. So hang with me. Oh, okay. Well, Grant, I'm glad that you found somebody to help you with all of your things. Seeing as you're advertising somebody else's business on my page, I'd really rather you not do that. But I'm glad that microdosing worked for you. It is not legal federally right now, so I can't really endorse it. But for those that may want to explore that, go ahead. Yeah. So yes. So sorry, Grant, we're not going to promote other people and illegal things on this page. I would prefer Facebook not shut me down. Yeah. So does anybody have any questions regarding pain and suffering or any of the things that I have said today? if I'm going to wait a bit, and if there are no questions, I will see you next week when we will be talking about the role of self-compassion in healing and recovering from chronic pain, because it's far more important than you would think. Yeah. So, any questions? Well, it looks like you guys have all of your questions answered for today. If you happen to be watching this in replay, let me know, leave your question, and I will come back and answer it in the after. So I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Have a wonderful Halloween tomorrow if you celebrate, and if not, just remember to turn your porch light off. And I can't wait to talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.